Okay, so let's get started. So welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Rafi Shulman and I'm the co-founder of Olim Advisors. It's such a pleasure to have you with us. We like to do these webinars on a regular basis and we see people from around the world, which is just amazing, from Israel and around the world. I'd like to just take a moment and just thank everybody that's joined me tonight to present and to share their insight and their advice. So my partner, Laura Itzhaki, Rachel Rappaport, who's a resident of Carmei Gat, Sean, and Liz Fink, who are also residents, and then Gabriel Schickman and Chaim Kesselman, who are the partners of Group Buy Investments, and they're going to be talking about a new community called Carmei Gat North, an exciting project. Rav Grossman is going to be joining us as well. He's going to join a little later, and he's going to talk about the shul and the community and give you his perspective. So thank you everyone for taking the time to join us tonight. Before we get started, I just want to share with you just a few quick things. First of all, we are recording this. So if you have come late or if you have to leave early, don't worry about it. We'll send out an email within the next day or two so you can watch it again at your convenience. And feel free to share it. We know that there's a lot of people who would find this information helpful and just couldn't join us tonight or maybe didn't know about it. So feel free to forward that email. We are going to be doing a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, just go ahead and type them into the chat window. And then we'll get to as many questions as we can at the end. We recognize that we're not going to be able to answer all of them, and we also can't get into everyone's personal situations in this webinar. So we really want to invite you and encourage you to reach out to us. There's a slide at the end of the presentation with everyone's contact information, and just shoot us an email, send us a WhatsApp, give us a call. We're happy to talk to you, and we're also going to follow up with you, really to understand what you're trying to accomplish, what you want to do, and figure out how we can help you. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with Olim Advisors, I just want to take a couple of minutes and explain to you who we are and why we host these webinars. So if you go back about 10 years ago to 2016, Laura and I started Olim Advisors because we recognized that making Aliyah is challenging. You know, we spoke to so many people who didn't know how to find a community or find schools or healthcare or what to ship, and there's a lot of decisions that one has to make. And unfortunately, some people say, you know what, maybe I won't make Aliyah now, or maybe I won't make Aliyah at all, and they're just giving up on that dream. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to help people. And so we launched a very personalized service where each one of our clients gets an advisor who is assigned to them, and they guide them through the entire journey from the pre-Aliyah process. So we help them find the right communities, find schools, what to ship, what to bring, healthcare, and so on and so forth. Then when they come here, we help you with all the bureaucracies. So we'll tell you what documents to bring. We'll make the appointment for you, and your advisor will go with you to each appointment to make sure that things are done properly, to make sure that you get all your benefits and everything that you're entitled to. And then last but not least, your advisor really is here to answer any questions that you have, because the reality is you're moving to a different culture, it's a different way of doing things, a different language, and people need help. They just need guidance. And so that's the role of the advisor, to really give you the peace of mind to know that you have somebody to turn to. Now, about 3 years ago, three and a half years ago, we also started helping people with real estate because people were coming to us with two questions and two concerns. The first one is to explain to them the real estate market because it operates very differently from the US and Canada and Australia and other countries around the world. Another thing is that people didn't know who they should trust and who they shouldn't trust. And when it's real estate, as you can imagine, it's so important that you have a trustworthy realtor, a lawyer, a mortgage advisor. And so what we did is assembled a team of professionals that we carefully chose that will really go above and beyond to take care of our clients and the people who refer to them. So I guess the bottom line is, and the message that I'm trying to convey to you is that if you're thinking about making Aliyah now down the road, or if you're thinking about buying a home, don't do it alone. Turn to us, come to Olim Advisors, or come to the people that are here on the panel, and let us help you. I think you'll find that it will save you a lot of time, a lot of aggravation, a lot of stress, and yes, we can also save you a lot of money. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so with that, I'd like to start the presentation. And really, the first topic is just general real estate tips for those of you who are thinking about buying in Israel, whether you live in Israel already or you're thinking about buying from outside, from abroad. So the first thing is to have a budget in mind. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people would love to live in Jerusalem or would love to live in Tel Aviv and Netanya, But those are expensive cities. And when you think through your budget and you think about what you can afford, you might come to the realization that those cities are just aren't affordable. So it's a waste of your time to look at those cities. I think what you need to do is you need to figure out what your budget is from two perspectives. First of all, if you're buying cash, then what's the total amount of money that you can afford to buy your home? If you're taking out a mortgage, then you have to think about how much can you put down, right? So for Israelis can get up to 75% of their mortgage. Foreign buyers can get up to 50% of the value of the home as a mortgage. So you have to think about how much you can put down. And then also, if you're taking out a mortgage, you want to make sure that you can afford those monthly payments. And we have an excellent mortgage advisor that we work with who would be happy to talk to you and just run through the numbers so you have a sense of what your budget is. The next thing is making a wish list. And what I tell people is that making Aliyah, buying a home in Israel, is an exciting chapter in your life, right? It's an opportunity to maybe start a new chapter in your life. And what I encourage people to do is to make a wish list, and it could be a wish list of one or two things. It could be a wish list of 10 things. It might be, for example, that you want to live by the beach, or maybe you want to live in Jerusalem, or maybe you want to live in the center of town. Maybe you want to live in an Anglo community or an Israeli community, or a religious or secular. There's a lot of variables that go into this, a lot of preferences and wishes. And so what I tell people is make that wish list and prioritize that wish list because the in reality it's unlikely that you're going to be able to find something that matches everything on your wish list. But let's say if you have 10 things, getting 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 is pretty good, and so that will help you in your search for a community and for a property. As you're doing this, keep in mind up and coming communities. Many of us have heard of the Ra'anana and Jerusalem and Ramat Bet Shemesh and Modi'in, and those are amazing communities. But you know what? There are now so many smaller, newer, up and coming communities that just have so much to offer. And Carmei Gat is such a perfect example of that. It's a warm community, it's an established community, it has a lot to offer, and it's much more affordable than some of the other communities. So you really want to kind of have an open mind as you're making this list and keep in mind communities like Carmei Gat. If you don't have to move right away, it really gives you an opportunity to take advantage of a buying opportunity called buying on paper. What that means in essence is that you're buying into a project that isn't built yet. Okay, so let's say the project will be ready in 3, 4 years. You're buying an apartment in a project and you're in essence locking in the price today. You might have to pay a building index, which is an interest, and that's something that you have to be aware of. But let's assume that you're buying into a project like the one we're going to present today, where you don't have to pay the building index. Then you're locking in a price. Let's say it's $800,000, and then that's the price that you're going to pay when the building is ready in 3 or 4 years. Now, we all know that in general, prices in Israel appreciate over time. So definitely from when you buy it at this early stage to when it's built. And even more so if you hold on to it, you rent it out or you move in, there's a good chance that the price will appreciate even further. So that's a very big benefit of buying in paper. And there are a lot of projects these days where the developer only requires you to put down 20%. So not only are you getting a discount price, you're getting a good price, but you're also, in many cases, you only need to put down 20%. And in some cases, even as low as 10%. And that's the project that we'll talk about, that Chaim and Gabriel will talk, where you only have to put down 10%. So for many people, that makes it doable. Maybe, it's a project that now they can afford because of the pricing and the down payment. The next tip is really something that's unique to the time that we're in now. It's something that I think many people who have been in real estate haven't seen before. There's actually a softening of the market where prices aren't necessarily coming down, but the developers aren't selling apartments as quickly as they would like to. And so they're more flexible in their payment terms, they're more flexible in the down payment, in some of the amenities that they give. And so if you've been thinking about buying a home in Israel, now's the time to really take that step forward because it's something that I believe is not going to last forever. I think the next 6 to 12 months, and then it's going to go back. The demand will catch up and prices will jump again. So definitely take advantage of that and look for what I consider real deals. And what I mean by that is there are opportunities where you can save literally 100, 200,000 shekel if you're able to get early, if you're able to get in early enough and find an opportunity, find a buying opportunity in an area and in a project that is very desirable. So there's definitely a lot going for buyers these days. Okay, so with that, I'd like to change gears and hand it over to Sean and Liz to talk about the community.
Thank you, Rafi, and hello, everybody. We actually found out about Carmei Gat when about a year ago, we were here for the very first time, almost to the day, when we contacted Olim Advisors, and it was one of the communities suggested to us, and it was kind of a surprise because we hadn't heard of it. And then once we learned about it, we found out how many people we knew that either were here or had connections or were moving here that we knew shortly afterwards. But when we came and we were here on a pilot trip for about 10 days, so we had one Shabbat, and we spent Shabbat here in Carmei Gat because of one of the families that we knew that was living here. When we came, it just sort of clicked instantly for a lot of the reasons that Rafi mentioned. The most important was that it's affordable and it's new and it's modern, and it was a chance to get in on the ground floor. The affordability is even to the point that there's a rent incentive. All Olim Chadash get some amount of rental assistance if you're renting. We chose to rent for at least the first year and probably the first 2 years while we look at buying and just get our kind of get our soft landing going here. And so there's extra assistance from the government to live in certain regions of Eretz Israel. And Carmei Gat is on the northern end of the south region and about as north as you can get and still get the southern regional incentives as well. So if you're not buying immediately or if you're renting while you're waiting for your apartment to be finished, there's that assistance. But the fact that it's as new as it is, really, it's a neighborhood that was founded. It's a neighborhood of Kiryat Gat. Kiryat Gat is older, but Carmei Gat is only about 10 years old. And really, the main thrust has been within the last 7 years or so. More Anglos have been moving in within the last 3 or 4. There's a lot moving from outside of Israel, and there's a lot of movement from within Israel as people realize that it is much more affordable than a lot of the neighborhoods, a lot of the cities that Rafi referred to. So being new and modern, it's a planned city. It's incredibly walkable, which in some of the other cities we looked at was something that was missing. It was something that we had always said. We moved here from suburban Cleveland, Ohio. And while it's suburban and it's nice and it's not Manhattan, it's also not walkable, even though it's a nice area. We didn't have, we couldn't literally walk out of our doorstep and walk out of our door and have a restaurant and a grocery store at our doorstep, which we have now. And then having an 11-year-old son, the fact that there are literally playgrounds every 50 yards or so down the main street and other areas as well. And there's a huge, I didn't even include that in the notes, but there's a huge area called the Sportec, which is athletic fields and a climbing wall and organized sporting areas. So it was the perfect mix for what we were looking for ourselves, what we needed for our son. And it helped that there was an Anglo community that's here, that's growing. So as you move in, the fact that it's a small but growing Anglo community, it really helps you get a foothold right now. You're not moving in where it's cliquey or where everybody knows each other immediately. It's people are friendly and looking to meet other people. It's jokingly referred to as the Anglo Park or the Anglo playground that the Anglo families congregate at on Shabbat afternoon. And so you go there and you meet everybody, and everybody is thrilled to meet new people who just moved to town and to welcome them. So it's been very welcoming. You're not moving into an area where it's harder to become known or to meet people because it's so established. We chose the area also because we did know some families that were here, and that's made it easier. And that is something to consider, that I'm sure many of you are considering when you look at an area, is if you know people who are there, it does make the landing that much easier. At the same time as the Anglo community was a positive, our son was adopted from China when he was 14 months old. And so the fact that Carmei Gat is a diverse community, there's a very large Mizrahi slash Sephardi community, there's a very large Ethiopian community. And the fact that it was a diverse community, it wasn't everybody looked the same and everybody was cookie cutter, and it helped us to feel like our son would fit in more and be more at home within that diversity. Coming from Cleveland, where they're in their, I think, 16th day below freezing, 16th consecutive day below freezing, it was 83 here today, 83 Fahrenheit, and it was -1 there this morning, Fahrenheit. So that was really an incentive to move to this part of the country, was never having to shovel snow or brush the car off again. And while most of the country is temperate enough, there are areas, Yerushalayim and farther north, where snow could be a worry. So moving down here and having warm weather was a definite plus. It's a beautiful area in that there's a farm and a kibbutz to the east, and you can look out to the mountains. You can see the Judean hills. You can see the mountains in Hebron. The higher up you are in a building, the views are just absolutely spectacular. But even just driving down the main artery to get to the freeway, which is Derech HaDorom, which is on the end of the city, you look out of the car, and every day I'm amazed by the scenery. The sunsets are gorgeous. It's a beautiful area of the country, despite being on the northern edge of the desert. There is a train station in Kiryat Gat, which is about a 10-minute drive from Carmei Gat. It's and there may be a station. We're hearing that there could be expansion in the new northern part also, where they may open a small train station as well. So it's easy to get to Tel Aviv, and you could conceivably, which we've done, go to Tel Aviv and then transfer and get to Yerushalayim all in a matter of an hour and 15 hour and 20 minutes, much less time than it would take to drive during rush hour. And then the fact that it's not as congested as the Merkaz, as the center of the country, as Yerushalayim, Tel Aviv, Beit Shemesh, Netanya. It's still on the outskirts, so to speak. So there's traffic, but it's not as bad, and the streets are navigable, and again, you can walk across the street without having to wait 15 minutes for the traffic to let up, and it's, overall it's really been a great place for our experience. We moved here in August, so we're still a little wet behind the ears, but it's been a great landing spot. Anything you want to?
I think you covered it.
Sorry.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Rachel, up to you.
Hey guys, my name's Rachel Rappaport. I'm 31 years old. I'm a mother of 4. My youngest is 7 months. I have a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 9-year-old. I'm an OBGYN resident at Soroka University, which is one of the largest hospitals down south, around a 24-minute train ride from Carmei Gat. And I've actually been living here since the beginning of the Anglo presence, from around 6.5 years. We made Aliyah close to 8 years ago. The first 2 years we were living in Beersheva, but we actually had bought right away when we made Aliyah. We bought on paper and moved in as soon as our house was ready 6.5 years ago. And it's been really quite amazing to see the way Carmei Gat has grown. When we first moved in, we were among the first 30 families that moved in. Our road was not even paved yet. Really, we're talking about beginning stages, and to see what it's come today is really spectacular. we live in what's known as like the 07 area. It's the southern part of Carmei Gat. We live in a du mishpachti, which is a semi-attached house. It's a private house. And as everyone has mentioned, one of the greatest perks of Carmei Gat is the accessibility to everything. Everything is at your fingertips right now. Right across the street, we have a big shopping center with doctors, clinics, big supermarket, restaurants. We have a pretty new, really nice outdoor mall called The Big, where you have everything you need from clothes stores. So really, everything is super convenient. Let's see. In addition to just like the amenities, we have, as Sean mentioned, really beautiful, beautiful parks everywhere. My kids, our younger kids, every single day, ginormous groups of children playing. You've talked to the parents, so the parents are having fun. The kids are being entertained with their friends. It's really, really enjoyable. And we have bike paths and walking paths and tons of courts. So everybody's always active, tons of sports going on, lots of different chugim. My kids are in gymnastics chugim, soccer chugim, rollerblading, anything you could think of, it's here. And I would say the biggest appeal of Carmei Gat is its growing Anglo community. We moved in not really knowing anybody. We knew of a few people, and today I would say my friends here are more than friends. They're mamash my family. There's nothing we wouldn't do for our neighbors. All of our kids are best friends. Every Shabbat, we're at each other's houses the whole afternoon. All the kids are playing together. It's just a really beautiful feeling. We have tons of WhatsApp groups for anything under the sun. There's a welcoming committee. The second people move in, there are meal trains to bring them meals. Any questions people have about schools and all the bureaucratic issues, everyone's here to answer your questions. We have a bunch of Miluim families and their support 24/7 for all the families with people in the army. When people have babies, their meal trains set up right away. They're always being taken care of. I mean, there's not a question that you can ask and you won't get a response within 2 seconds on a WhatsApp group. It's really, really great. In terms of schools and ganim and all those types of things, I mean, I have kids throughout the entire spectrum from ma'on, which is like daycare, gan age children, which is like preschool, and then school age children. We have options for it all, and there's already large Anglo presences in every single class possible. So you'll get all the information from people here. Like the second sign up comes around, people send out questions in WhatsApp groups. Oh, what's the best gan? What's the best ma'on? And like, there's an option for everything. Great options. We've been super happy with all the schooling and the ganim and the ma'onot. Another major perk is our shul. Our shul is, I would say, at the center of the community life. There's activities going on all the time. Every Shabbat, my husband happens to run the Limud Yeladim every Shabbat afternoon. There's Tefillot Yeladim. There's every holiday, there's an activity for the kids. There's learning opportunities, not just for children, but also for the adults. I'm sure Rav Grossman will expand on all of that. But really everything that you can need in a community, we've got covered. Yeah, I would say.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Rachel.
No problem.
Okay, now we're going to switch over to Chaim and to Gabriel, who are going to talk about Carmei Gat North, which is the new extension of Carmei Gat, and specifically a very exciting opportunity with one of the developers there. So, guys, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Rafi. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everyone here who took some time out of their day to hear about this opportunity. I'd like to say thank you to Olim Advisors, Lara and Rafi for giving us the stage. Sean and Liz, thank you so much for your input, and also Rachel, and to Rav Grossman who's going to come on. I'm going to talk a little bit about us. Me and my partner Gabriel. We started working in Remax around 5 years ago, and we really liked our experience of working as realtors, learning about the whole real estate world. And after around 2.5 years, we came to a conclusion that the whole development side pulled us and was way more interesting to us. We saw that there was a lot more opportunity over there. So we kind of pivoted towards the development side and we started working for a developer. What we did for that developer is we organized a buyers group with over 120 participants. And we saw that because forming a group created a really, really amazing opportunity for everyone who's involved, we said this is the route that we have to go about. And that's how Group Buy Investments was founded. Ever since then, what we've been doing is approaching the top developers in the country through connections that we have. And every month we're evaluating many deals, over 10 every single month, filtering them out and really trying to find the best opportunities out there. We'll do anything from all the way up north to all the way down south. And recently we did come across this opportunity in Carmei Gat, and it really, really spoke to us. We ran through the numbers, we did some research, and we said that this is a very, very good opportunity for a number of reasons. One of the main things that we really liked about this opportunity is that you have a comparable. I'm sure for Rachel, when she bought 6.5 years ago, it was a little bit scary because not everything was certain. Not everything was clear about what's going to be in the community. And the fact that there is an established community that was built already, 7,500 units over the last mainly 7 years, and a big bulk of it was bought over the last 3 to 4 years, and a lot of it by an Anglo community, is a proof of concept. And then when we're talking about Carmei Gat Safon, which is literally across the street, where they're building another 6,000 units of another brand new community. It's going in at the earliest stage possible, but at the same time, you already have the proof of concept that it works and that there's an existing community that is out there, and that it's growing every year exponentially. So this is the reason that we really like this opportunity. And I'd like to bring Gabriel on to kind of present and get into the details of the actual project.
Okay, thank you for the intro, Chaim. So now I'm going to talk about the deal itself. The project is called Maya Deret. The developer is Rama Deret, a very well-known, reputable developer in Israel. He has a lot of experience and projects under his belt. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Sorry, one sec. So yeah, Rama Deret is a very strong developer in Israel. This is the scope of the projects that they currently have going on. They have developed around 3,000 units. Sorry.
Gabriel, are you sharing your screen? Because I can stop on my end if you want to pull up your presentation.
One second. Yeah, can you see my screen?
No,
Yeah,
we still now we can see. Can you see it now?
I could see it.
You can see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Rafi?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, it's not okay. There we go. Okay, so Rama Deret is the developer, as I was saying. They've developed over 3,000 units over the past years. Very strong financially speaking. They're a publicly traded company, which is something that is very important to know when buying real estate on paper. As Rafi mentioned earlier, you're buying something that is not built yet and will be delivered in the future. And that's why it's very important to know that you're dealing with a well-based developer with a lot of experience. He's done it in the past, and he has the proper structure to deliver the project and construct throughout the entire process without any issues. So Rama Deret, yeah, so they're currently working on a whole bunch of projects around the country. This is the scope of all the projects they're working on. Just goes to show how strong they are and what their scope and ability is in terms of real estate development. Now, this is the project specifically that we're talking about, Maya Deret. It's a total of 6 buildings. We can see there's 1, 2, 3. These are marking the buildings, 4, 5, and 6. All 6 buildings are on the corner. This is the bottom western side of the community, which is something that I personally really like about where the project is located within the community, because on the one hand, it's fully connected and with everyone in the neighborhood, but on the other hand, one side is completely facing the park, which gives a sense of just a quiet nature and a little bit more privacy than the rest of the northern Carmei Gat area. Another advantage is that it's actually sitting on the park. So a lot of the apartments will have a view to the park, and just generally speaking, being able to exit your building and walk out to the park itself is just amazing. Not a lot of the dense neighborhoods in Israel really have a lot of outdoor nature type of space. And as everyone was mentioning earlier on this on the webinar, is that there are a lot of parks and just outdoor space that you could go enjoy with your family, if it's picnics or just kids going out to play in the parks. It's a very nice advantage. That's in terms of this location itself. As you can see here, everywhere where my mouse is touching, these are the location marks of schools and synagogues that are going to be developed. So you could see everywhere where it says Bet HaSefer, Bet Knesset, that's school, and synagogues. There are multiple within walking distance of the development itself. At least 5, 6, 7 new schools and shuls that are planned to be built here. So that is another something very nice, and it indicates a strong family-friendly type of neighborhood vibe. And Sean was mentioning that about the future plan for the train station that'll be going from here to it's basically it's the Tel Aviv and Be'er Sheva rail line. This is where my mouse is right now, is where it's going to be. It is probably around a 3-4 minute drive from where the project is, which is great because it's not on top of the project. You're not going to have the noise of the train and the traffic in the morning of people dropping people off at the train station, or Sunday mornings Chayalim going back to base. It could get very busy around train stations. This is like a perfect distance where on the one hand you're close, but on the other hand you're not too close where you're on top of it. So that's something very nice about this, about the location and how far it is from the train station. This is another three-dimensional rendering where we could see the overall community, what's planned to be built. And just as I was mentioning before, how I really like how it is on the western side and not smack in the middle of the new community. You can see just all the other developments are pretty much the same, and they're surrounded by other buildings. And it's just a very strong benefit to be on the corner, and you have the open space, the park. This is what you call shetach haklai, which is farmland, where they will not be building, at least for the foreseeable future. There is nothing planned to be built here, which means views will be open and just an open line of fresh air and good space to be able to enjoy. That's just in terms of the location itself. Now, here where these white buildings are, it says Mosdot Tzibur. These are public buildings. They're going to be used for anything that has to do with the public. So if it's the municipality offices or just shopping centers or whatever it may be, that's going to be over here. Generally speaking, everyone mentioned this. There's a huge benefit and plus side to being able to go into a brand new developed community where the infrastructure is all new and planned ahead of time strategically. It's not like an old neighborhood where everything's old, the streets, parking, amenities, it's all old, and then you add on a few new buildings. Everything ahead of time is planned in a way where you have where they plan it strategically. So like I said before, the train station, the connectivity. They mentioned a lot the connectivity of Carmei Gat in general. So it's been done in a very strategic way that it'll be beneficial for whoever lives there. Now, just another part on the train. Another important thing to know about having a train in the nearby proximity. It automatically increases the value, even if you're not looking at this from an investment standpoint. It just because all of us would like to have that luxury of having a train to go to Tel Aviv within 40 minutes, 45 minutes, or train to connect to Tel Aviv, then Jerusalem, or down to Beersheba. It's a huge plus side in having in a community, so it automatically is great for the value and appreciation of the real estate. This is just general numbers on Carmei Gat, on the new Tzfon Carmei Gat area. So Chaim was mentioning the existing Carmei Gat space is they developed around 7,500 units in total. They're adding another 6,000 to 6,100 units to this neighborhood, to Carmei Gat Tzafon, northern Carmei Gat, which is pretty much a very clear indication that 7,500 units that were built in Carmei Gat was not enough, and the demand exceeded that, and that's why they're building another 6,000 units, which is it's very nice to have that indicator. 1,800 dunam is the total space. It's around 450 acres of space that they're going to be building this whole new community on. So it's a substantial amount of space. 330 dunam, which is another 80 acres, if I'm not mistaken. That is all going to be allocated for parks and outdoor space. And, like I kept saying before, the nature is something very nice about this northern Carmei Gat opportunity. So it's very nice to see. And another 120,000 square meters of mischar v'tasuka, which is basically retail and commercial office space, anything to do with commercial, 120,000 square meters. So they're expecting quite a lot of just, besides for residential expansion and the parks and the synagogues and everything we discussed, but also quite a bit of office space and retail. So that always is good for to have nice healthy traffic within the community. Now we'll dive into the apartments themselves, the sizes, and we'll talk about prices as well. So the two bedrooms are 80 square meters. So generally, typically speaking, whoever has seen other real estate opportunities in Israel, two bedrooms is generally ranges between 70 and 80 square meters. So this is on the higher end, which is nice. It leads to having nice, spacious living areas within the house, within the apartment. And each apartment, two bedroom, comes with a 10 square meter balcony, and a full package of storage unit and underground parking spot. And this is something that the last point here, which I'm going to say now, is something that only we were able to get this as a bonus, that only people who come through us get this completely free from the developer. That is central air conditioning units for the entire apartment. So that's another that saves thousands of dollars in the end of the process. So that's it's a huge bonus.
Gabriel, just to jump in for a second, just for people that are converting square meters to square feet, you can multiply times 10. So the two bedrooms about 800 square feet, and the balcony is about 100 square feet. So just to help people that want to convert into into size they're familiar with.
Great. Yeah. So exactly what Rafi said. You can just do a quick calculation. Now we'll speak about the 5 bedroom. Oh, so before I move on to the 5 bedroom, I'll just talk about the price. The price of the 2 bedroom is 1,850,000 shekels. Where I'm going to say the price is in shekels here. The dollar shekel rate changes every day, so it's easier just to say it like this. And the payment plan is extremely comfortable. It's 1090, which means you're pretty much leveraging 1 to 10, and yeah, that's putting down 10% of the apartment price at the signing, and the 90% remainder would be at the occupancy of the apartment. Now, for the 5 bedrooms, each 5 bedroom apartment is approximately 140 square meters, 20 square meter balcony, Each one of these have what's called a mother-in-law suite as a separate unit. That's something that is very, very beneficial. You can use that for a bunch of different things. One of them would be, just if you rent out the apartment, you could rent it to do two different residents. You could have a family as a 3-bedroom apartment and on one side, and then another small mother-in-law suite on the other. You could live in the 3-bedroom and then have a mother-in-law, relative, son, daughter, teenager, whatever you want, as a separate unit, so they have more privacy. Or you could even live in the 3-bedroom and then rent out the mother-in-law suite. So there's really a bunch of options that you can use here. Massive living room, same 1090 payment plan. We like to basically only work on deals that get exemption from the building index, as Rafi mentioned in the beginning of the call, which means the price that you see here will be the price at the end as well. Also, full package storage unit and underground parking spot with the extra bonus of the central air conditioning units on the developer himself. This price is 2,750,000 in shekels. So 10% would be 275,000. And also, for this option, it's an incredible price in terms of what's going on the general market. One thing I will mention about the 1090 split. So in Israel, generally speaking, there's 1090, 1585, 2080 type of payment options, which becomes available when you take what's called a contractor's loan. I'll just say it quickly. Basically, a contractor's loan is a loan that the contractor takes on your name in order to bridge the gap between what you're putting down and what it actually costs him to build the apartment. This loan does not cost any money, so the developer himself soaks up the interest, so you won't need to be spending any additional money. And it's really a win-win situation. He's able to give you that 1090 payment plan and also take the loan to be able to construct the project. And he has to eat up the interest, so that's good for us.
Great, great. Thanks so much, Gabriel. I see that Rav Grossman has joined us. So, Rav Grossman, if you can just turn on your mic and there you go. Welcome to the webinar. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Yasher Koach, really, for the wonderful work in helping people to make Aliyah. Thank you again, really, for having me together. And it's great to see the thinks over here. Hello. So I'll just speak a few minutes about Carmei Gat, about our community, Carmei Tzion. I don't know exactly what's been said already, but just a quick moment, a word of introduction. It's probably been said already. Carmei Gat is a relatively new neighborhood in the city of Kiryat Gat. It didn't exist 10 years ago. It was just fields, and I am privileged to serve as the Rav of Beit Knesset Carmei Tzion, is a Ashkenazi Dati Leumi shul, probably still the first in the neighborhood. The neighborhood is walking distance, I'd say, for the whole neighborhood, but still relatively large, maybe perhaps 20-25 minutes to walk from one end to the other. And there's also the newer parts of Carmei Gat that are being planned now, which is very exciting, including Carmei Gat Safon, North Carmei Gat. There'll be other parts of Carmei Gat as well. Some parts will be walking distance, perhaps 10 or 15 minutes from our shul. Other parts of those neighborhoods will be even farther away. So very quickly, just a little bit about our shul, about our community. So we're within a much broader neighborhood that has diverse demographics that include Dati, it includes Haredi, it includes Chiloni, it includes Masorati, which is traditional, Sfaradi, Ashkenazi, Russian, a whole host of different groups. We are about 250 families in our shul. Overwhelmingly English speaking. We're not an Anglo shul by design. We weren't defined that way, but practically speaking, the vast majority are English speaking. You'll hear a lot more English at Kiddush than anything else. But the official language of the shul, so to speak, is Hebrew. It was important to the founding members that the character of the shul is in Hebrew, and that still defines, I think, a lot the experience, the Aliyah experience. And you've heard already from some Olim to Carmei Gat for many Olim. There is very much a sense of jumping into Israel, wanting to learn more Hebrew, to get more connected, even as people come from different places, and we try to accommodate. We have some shiurim in English and some programming in English, but overwhelmingly the programming in our shul is in Hebrew. That's the official language. And we have people really coming from all sorts of backgrounds. People who grew up here in Israel, many who grew up in Israel, in places you might be familiar with, like Hashmonaim and Modi'in and Beit Shemesh and Ranana, and people who just made Aliyah very, very recently, and everything in between, and even some that really don't speak English very well at all. That's our general demographic of our shul. We are built on 4 pillars: Torah, Tefillah, Chesed, and Kihila. It is a makom tefillah. We try to invest in the tefillot, in the meaning of the prayer, and offer many different options in that regard, and a full complement of Divrei Torah and Shiurim, community learning programs, and of course Chesed, to support each other, both in times of need and times of simcha. That is essential to our community. A number of different events to build community, build connections between people, as we've grown very, very quickly. Really, just in the last 5 years, from around 50 families to now 250. We've tried to preserve as much as possible that close-knit feel of a community that supports each other through all sorts of different life cycle events, and also situations been through a lot already the last 2.5 years with the war and many else. Our shul is mostly young families. It's couples in their 20s and 30s with young children, not exclusively. We have a growing demographic of families beyond that, with some with children older than that, and some even more in their 50s and 60s. Are definitely more considering Carmei Gat. There's definitely a certain challenge for children at different stages. I don't know what's been said about it so far. There are education options within the neighborhood as well as outside the neighborhood. Dati Leumi, Chinuch. There are 2 schools just within our neighborhood, and there are others, 10 to 15 minute ride outside. High schools are still work in progress. There's one in our neighborhood. There are others in the broader city, and it is very much a work in progress for Olim, for children who make Aliyah in that stage. Maybe you've heard about this already, because we're not as established as an Olim community. So the kind of sweet spot, and it certainly cannot be done. You've heard a little bit from others. It can be done otherwise, but the sweet spot for Olim to Carmei Gat very often tends to be families with young children who can kind of acclimate very quickly, or families with older children who may be acclimating on their own already. But sometimes the resources in the school systems are still lacking, something to be aware of. It doesn't mean that a family can't do it. There have been families that have succeeded wonderfully, even with children who are already older, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, and so on and so forth. But it gets more challenging because there's less of the support system that you have in many other places. Carmei Gat has a full complement of religious resources. And again, I'm talking about Carmei Gat, what's been built already. I don't know what's going to be built in North Carmei Gat, but I would assume that there will be similar resources. We have 2 mikvahot in the neighborhood. There are many kosher restaurants. In fact, as far as I know, I think all the restaurants in our neighborhood do have a tudat kashrut. Many also have a badatz hechsher. And there are many. I don't know, maybe more than a dozen. But there are many other shuls. Again, I mentioned the Ashkenazi Dati Leumi, but there are many other Saradit Batei Knesset. There are Chabad Batei Knesset. So there are many other options. It is a neighborhood that has people. It has a very Jewish feel and character. It is not a religious neighborhood by any means. There are many Chilonim, many on all different range of Jewish observance, but there's a real feel on Shabbat that it feels different. There are many fewer cars than during the week. There are cars, but it's many fewer than during the week. It's quieter, and it's a really nice balance between both heterogeneous, diverse atmosphere where people generally get along, respect each other, and having a real Jewish character where Jewish Chagim are openly celebrated, and you just feel like you're living in a Jewish state. And that's part of the tremendous bracha of living in Medinat Yisrael, in the special time that we live in. If you have any more questions, anything else that I can be helpful with, I think that Rafi has my contact info. And I really wish all of you real yesher koach and kol hakavod on considering this tremendous step in your lives of moving to Eretz Yisrael and coming home. Batzlacha rabba.
Thank you so much, Rav Grossman. I appreciate it. Have a Laila Tov, Shavuot Tov. Okay, here's just one last slide before we get to the Q&A. We just put together a series of resources, free resources for people that want think about making Aliyah, people that want to buy a home in Israel. Just feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to give you the logins, the links to join the groups, as well as the tips that we have. And as the Rav mentioned, here is the contact information. And again, we're going to be recording it. So we'll send you a link and you can, feel free to reach out to everyone as presented. So with that, we have a few minutes left. So if anyone has any questions, I'm just going to stop sharing here for a moment. And then if anyone has any questions, you can go ahead and put that into the chat question and we'd be happy to answer it. There is one question that I saw for Sean and maybe Rachel as well, just about employment. Can you talk about are most people working in the general area? Are they hopping the train going to Tel Aviv? What's your experience?
We're still looking for employment, so if anybody's hiring, from what we can tell, a lot of people are traveling to other areas, not necessarily Tel Aviv. There are a number of people, Tel Aviv, Yerushalayim, but also Rehovot. What are some of the other areas that we've heard? There's a good amount of remote work. Beersheba is very popular. That's right. Yeah. Rachel might have more insight on that too.
So I would say a large proportion of people living here are in high tech. And if you're in high tech, you're going to be in Tel Aviv. A lot of remote work. My husband works for a company in New York completely from our house. I personally work in the hospital in Beersheba, like I mentioned. There's also a small high tech area in Beersheba, which is relatively new and a lot of people are working there. In Carmei Gat itself, there's an Intel office. But I would say a majority of people travel either to Tel Aviv or to Yerushalayim. Tel Aviv, we have a direct train, I would say 50 minutes to the center of Tel Aviv. To Beersheba, to 24 minutes. Super convenient. Yeah.
Great. There's a few questions here about the demographics of Carmei Gat. I know that there are a lot of young families. Are older people moving in, people that are semi-retired, retired, maybe to be near their kids and grandkids? What are you guys seeing there?
I think, as the Rav said, it's a growing number. I'm going to be 55. That's what Hashem in a few months. So even though we have a young son, I'm a little older. My gray kind of betrays my age there. So we're kind of on the upper end of the parents, but then there's a growing number of parents who are moving in. So grandparents who are coming. I look around and I'm no longer. There were times where I was the oldest one or the second oldest one in the minyan, and now I look around in the mornings and I'm in the top 10. So the older population, I think, is a little bit more transient. They may be splitting their time between here and the States or Canada or Australia or Great Britain. But I think it's a growing number of older families coming in, or older retirees and empty nesters coming in little by little.
Right. Okay.
And there is a WhatsApp group for that too.
Yes.
Well, that's a sign. That's a good sign. Once you know there's a WhatsApp group, there's enough people. For Chaim and Gabriel, there's a question here, just clarification about the mother-in-law suite. I think the question is if it's the 5-bedroom apartment, it's not available in the 2-bedroom, right? It's just the larger one that has the mother-in-law one.
Right. It's
Correct.
specifically for the 5-bedroom. Now, one thing we wanted to add, we're just a little from a timing perspective. Rav Grossman needed to hop on and hop off, but one thing I hadn't mentioned is there is somewhat of a time frame aspect of this deal. As Rafi was mentioning, and Chaim touched on this for a sec, when you invest or purchase on paper in Israel, there's a full scale spectrum of when you pretty much the pre-sale or the pre-sale in this case, and when the project is ready. Now, in terms of the phase that we're in right now, we're at the pre-sale, which is the absolute first stage of the process, where they call it either a silent sale or a friends and family type of sale, where really they're selling at the best possible prices and the best possible terms. And the reason they do this is so that they can the developer wants to have the ability to come to the bank and to the guaranteeing bank that they're using, which is Discount, by the way, which is one of the top banks in Israel. But they want to be able to come to the bank and say, look, we have real demand for our project. We have a couple sales, steady cash flow, and it really gets them, it really helps them secure better financing terms in order to be able to develop with ease throughout the entire process of the project. Now, they initially we started this around a week and change ago, working on this project with the developer, and they said they were going to release 20 apartments total for the pre-sale, friends and family phase, silent sale, whatever we'll call it. And not really so surprisingly, they all sold within 3 days. So Chaim was mentioning earlier, we evaluate 10 to 20 deals a month, and generally there's usually one that we really see as an incredible opportunity, and we dive on it. This specifically, it was a no-brainer. We didn't have to think twice. We reviewed all the information. It seemed a bit too good to be true in the beginning, so we just made sure everything was correct and the way we saw it. And when we did, we started working on it, and 20 apartments. There were 20 registration forms for apartments within 3 days that are now proceeding towards closing. So what we did was we went back to the developer and we said, look, we want to be able to open up a few more at these price points, at these terms. We believe that there's obviously, as you see, there's a strong demand. We work with a lot of Olim and people from the Anglo community that we'd love to present this opportunity to at these price points. We really pushed and pushed and pushed, and they said they would release a few more, and that's why we're here today. So this isn't a sale that'll be going on for months to come. It's really one of those opportunities. You see it, it could be relevant for you, and you seize the opportunity. And I'm not saying this; it comes off a bit salesman-y to say this, but I'm not saying this to to push people. You have to buy, but it is an opportunity that will not be out there for more than a week, 2 weeks.
Okay, great. Just another maybe question or two, and then we'll wrap up for the night. Just with Rachel, you touched upon it, but somebody's asking specifically about the hospitals, maternity wards, and surgeons. Is all that in Kiryat Gat or?
So in Carmei Gat, all the kupot have an office here. So for your basic family doctor and pediatrician, all of those are within Carmei Gat. In terms of OBGYN maternity stuff, most kupot have in Carmei Gat specifically, and if not in Kiryat Gat. In terms of hospitals, we are in Kiryat Gat. The closest hospital is Barzilai in Ashkelon, but most people don't go to Barzilai. They either go to Asuta, which is in Ashdod. It's around a 45-minute drive, or Soroka, which is also like a 40-minute, 45. They're equidistant, I would say, Asuta and Soroka. And in terms of doctors' specialties, there's within Kiryat Gat most big specialties. But I don't know if we're going into the whole medical system here, but it's different. But just in our Anglo community, there are a bunch of Aman OBGYN resident. There are a bunch of pediatric residents. There's an emergency room doctor. We have tons of medical people within the Anglo community here. Yeah, that's in short.
Great, thank you. And then for those that are asking about the semi-retired, retired, one of the things that I think is an indication as to who's going to be moving to this area are the fact that they're two-bedroom apartments. When you think about it, most families, if they're buying larger apartments, three bedrooms, sometimes four if they can afford it. And so I think the developers, by creating smaller two-bedroom apartments, really anticipate that there will be a growth of or a movement of people who are semi-retired, retired, who are looking to, in essence, downsize and move into small apartments. So I think no one knows for sure what this new neighborhood will look like, but I think that's an indication of what the community will be. And then there's just a question about the timing. So the timing of the this project is about 3.5 years. So then the developers anticipate that in about 3.5 years the project will be completed. So that's something to keep in mind. Um, Okay, I think just keeping an eye on the clock, and I don't want to keep everybody who joined. I just want to thank you again all for joining us tonight. There's a lot of good questions here. I know we didn't get to everybody, but please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to schedule a call, answer your questions, and really help you along your journey, whether it's to make Aliyah, to buy a home in Israel. So thanks everyone for joining. Have a Shavua Tov, be well, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.